Ready or not, here I am. It's Thursday, March 28th, 2024. One of my friends is interested in watching the new miniseries called Mary and George. He saw the preview for it on TV and said, "That looks good." Little did he know, the show centers around a time period of a lifetime I see through, and one of the characters in the show is actually one of the previous lives I seem to see through and have had extreme experiences with over the years. That's a mouthful to explain. Never mind when people don't believe in reincarnation. When they find out you do, they often will say something like, "So you probably believe you are someone famous?" Well, truthfully, if I can be truthful, if people would allow it without trying to destroy us in the process, many of the lives I see through are of famous people. I've had people question if I'm just a psychic historian. After all, they say, "Well, you are psychic." Though what I see and feel from the lives I see through, as if they are mine, is a vastly different feeling than just other lives I might for some reason sense things about. And then it's curious how some people believe in past lives, but they're more willing to accept you as being a poor beggar or someone they would deem of no apparent significance than the possibility of having had been someone famous. Is that a disrespect for what they think of you, or does that speak about themselves? I believe I'd be happy to find explanations of the lives I see through that show me they were not lives I had lived, and I'll go into that in further detail in another time. So, weirdly enough, the miniseries debuts the same week that this online subscription service debuts. Life tends to have many weird synchronicities for whatever they are actually worth. It's a strange thing to encounter them. I did say this was going to be an unfiltered vlog, so I am going to attempt to do that as much as I can. Though I do still need to have certain boundaries, and I may not just easily give it all away and chew the food for you ahead of time. Sometimes truth means more when you come upon the experience of it on your own, as opposed to having it spoon fed to you. As well, a couple months ago, I had a psychic reading from a wonderful lady in Lilydale, New York, who brought through a friend and teacher of mine who is now passed over, John Livingston, who wrote the book Adversaries Walk Among Us and was a pretty well known exorcist. One of his messages to me recently was, "You don't have to show them your underwear." Knowing me, I may still tell you the brand and color, and trust me when I say I am wearing pants right now. I certainly don't want to say things I could say for attention. I really don't want that type or amount of attention. It's part of why I have spent so much of my life being more reclusive and not living as honestly as I could have, which is why I chose to include this video diary within the confines of a paid membership service. So those who find it will be more likely to be those who deal with similar things as well, or who are at least open to the concepts. There's reasons why I held back from speaking too freely on social media. In the wrong hands, our words can be used in ways that would stop us from being willing to have our own voices in life. My hope is that this project will inspire people to strengthen their voice, as well as to realize they are not alone in all of this. And this is why I'm coming forward more openly in things that I say. There's so much in my life I have repressed and held back from speaking of, and it's taken a toll on me over time. It's not easy dealing with so many extreme experiences that are literally epic, and then having to move on from it as if it didn't happen. Society doesn't hold much space for these things. Growing up, I saw and felt how massively society didn't hold space for me, and it didn't seem like society wanted me in it to begin with. The realities of me, as well as the realities of many others, possibly even including you, don't mesh with the realities this society was attempting to entrain people into believing were real. Many of us are in ways threats to the narrative of discourse of society. There are many things propped up by illusions and lies in society. And if those illusions and lies were truly comprehended for what they are, society would have to respond or react, because the pillars of lies would crash down from the weight of the lies holding them up. The bill for the karma we have been creating is due. Though it is telling how many people these days, due to their anger and lack of discernment, believe wild theories of things that are not true. We are in a time period that politicians, influencers, and just plain marketers are using lies for power and money. I found many times that I start to say something and some people will right away assume I am validating their own conspiracy theories. On the other hand of that, it's interesting to me, just the phrase conspiracy theory to the average person these days means a wild lie. In truth, the term conspiracy theory is a theory of a conspiracy. It may be true or it may not be true. It is a theory. To me, this reactionary idea that the term conspiracy theory just means a lie from the start, without even looking at the theory, seems like a conditioning blinding effect that could have been discussed by George Orwell in his books. Some people believe a theory of a conspiracy is either this or that, when in truth, sometimes they are this and a little of that and a lot of some other stuff, and sometimes they are a theory with no actual substance of truth. And sometimes actual conspiracies are housed within a paradigm bigger than the individual conspiracies themselves. Just like a glass of milk. Is the glass half empty or half full? That's a question many of us grew up on and were led to believe it was either or. You were positive minded if you thought it was a half full, and negative minded if you thought it was half empty. In truth, it's just a glass of milk. You can drink it, you can refill it, and you can wash it before you refill it. You can even store it in a cabinet until you need it again. Discernment allows us to not limit our consciousness to limited thought constructs. And yes, I do realize I am taking the point past its original intentions. In other words, I milked it. I do believe, and I have heard repeatedly by so many other psychics, mediums, channelers, and even astrologers, that we're currently in a huge paradigm shift of consciousness that is going to shift the narrative of discourse of society away from those who control it for their agendas and will free it within this age of human evolution of consciousness that we are currently going through. We are all part of it, like it or not. And if the realities of reincarnation are true, then we are complicit in the things we all deal with now as well. Blaming the past generations for how things are today is foolish, if indeed we were part of those past generations as well in our own former lives. My intent here is to be part of that enlightening shift with this project, to hopefully help assist others in finding their voices in this process. Let us discover what past lives actually are, what moves and shakes us, what are the doors within us, what we can open to receive more of the blessings from our souls in the higher realms of our own beings, in the higher beings that are here to assist us. We even have a right to experience our own connections to what we call God. We don't have to rely on the stories others tell us. We can discover our own soul in the process of our own experiences. In doing this, we need to unearth our voices, free our spirits from the constraints and limitations of what others allow. Though we should be careful that our voices do not harm others in doing so. As the months go, I'm hoping to be able to create an extension to this online service project, which will share the voices of others and how they have freed their own voices. If you've read my autobiography, Awakening Spirit, Reclamation of Being, and if you remember the brief parts of an extreme vision I had during a past life regression, you should realize which of the past lives I see through they are profiting off of, making fun of, during the miniseries I spoke of. Even if not, the oil painting one of my friends did for me as a birthday present a couple of years ago that's often seen next to me on the wall, near my desk, is one of that little boy I very much remember from that past life I see through. Regardless of who that little boy truly is to me, I honor and respect him for all I have felt he has gone through. I'm considering doing a review of some of the episodes during a future diary session, if I do indeed watch it, though I feel a bit traumatized just from seeing the foolish promos they have aired. Last September, I was in Stirling, Scotland in person, dealing with the childhood traumas of that man. It's pretty weird to go to an ancient building you traumatically seemingly remember owning in previous lives. Never mind, those buildings are now tourist attractions. And yes, my dry humor had me offering to help take photos of people while there. It was such a surreal experience taking photos of strangers who were visiting what felt like a former house of mine, and knowing I couldn't tell them what I was seeing and what I was experiencing while I was there. Though several of the tour guides and workers in that castle knew why I was there, and their support of me in my journey is a lasting blessing of that journey. Even stranger, I wasn't there for just one past life that I see through that lived in that castle, but actually two lives that I see through what appear to be two lives that lived in that castle at different time periods. One was born on March 17th, 1473. He married his wife on August 8th, 1503, which is curious since in this life I was born on August 8th, 1964, and he died on September 9th, 1513, in a famous battle, the Battle of Flodden Field, a battle I had night terrors of when I was a toddler in this life. I had night terrors as a toddler of dying in that battle as if I was that man, whatever that means in truth. Last spring, one of my friends asked me if I wanted to go to Scotland with him for a Qigong retreat. I said yes right away, even though I didn't want to go to the retreat. I looked online to see how close it was to Stirling Castle and realized it was only an hour away. So I suggested I get in an apartment in Stirling for the week and we go there to start, and then he come back to Stirling after his retreat, and I spend the week on a journey of my own. Little did I realize that moment, the week I would be there was the 510th anniversary of that battlefield death that I had night terrors of as a child. Yes, I walked that battlefield once again, 510 years after seemingly dying on it. Touring the castle that I have so much energy attached to for whatever reasons, I realized that for many years, the castle was taken over by the British military in the 1800s and altered in various ways. The year that the military was told to leave so that the castle could be refurbished as a museum for tourists was 1964, the year I was born. A curious synchronicity to me, even if it doesn't mean anything, I celebrate it. When the TV series Sense8 came out, I was enthralled with the first season. It was about a group of people connected to each other to the point they empathically sensed each other. There were aspects of the show that I've experienced myself. And many of you watching this that have empathic abilities would agree. You've experienced some of those things too. Watching shows like that can be helpful in seeing aspects of things we deal with in larger context, especially when the society we live in denies the existence of the experiences that we experience. I've seen so many science fiction shows and movies that are about real things I deal with in life. It's often not science fiction to me, and I'm sure for many others, they feel the same way. During the beginning of the Sense8 series, they kept alluding to the birth dates of the group of people and that they all shared the same birthday. As weird as it may sound, I knew right away I shared the same birthday. It was so weird to experience the buildup, knowing they were going to say their birth dates were August 8th, 8/8, my birthday, 8/8, 1964 is curiously a square root. Numbers are a curious thing to me. Where do we go from here? Once again, I thank you for taking your valued time to listen and hold space for me as I come forward with this project of holding space for the concept of our voices and freeing our spirits from the constraints imposed upon them. Regardless of whose imposition it was, our own complicity within karma or that of another, we do have the abilities to transcend them in the present. Prescience allows presence of spirit. May you find your presence within the presence of your spirit. May you gift your soul with a transcendence of self.